Thank you, Mahendra. So can we start the slideshow?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So just to outline the procedure for today's meeting, it will be in three parts. First of all, Ajantha and I will be introducing Arjuna, and some of it we hope would be interactive. The second part is when Arjuna will be talking about resurrecting Sri Lankan cricket to its former glory. And then hopefully there'll be about an hour to talk at the end for people to pose questions, which I think Mahendra did say to post on the chat because we may not be able to see everybody's raised hands. So we are delighted and honored to have Arjuna today gracing this occasion. It is very opportune that we have it in the year marking the 25th anniversary of Sri Lanka winning the World Cup. And it so happens that it is also the finals of the T20, which I know Arjuna doesn't care very much about. Anyway, so I would like to, so why am I introducing Arjuna? So although Arjuna may not remember me because he was a little boy at the time, our families go back a long way. And my parents and Arjuna's parents-in-law were in the University of Colombo together. And those friendships that were forged, they continued to their dying day. So after qualifying, my mother and Arjuna's mother-in-law, that is Auntie Piasili, joined the staff of Anula Vidyalaya. Again, they continued till their retirement at that establishment. And my mother and even Auntie Piasili happens to have taught Arjuna's mother, that is Auntie Nandini, at Anula Vidyalaya. And lastly, Arjuna's wife, Samadara, who happens to be his first cousin, and their family were very close to us because they used to live in Nugegoda. So that's why, that's how we got to know the Ranatunga family. So to begin with, the early years, although Arjuna was born in Colombo, he hailed from Udugampala of Gampaha. He happened to be the second in a family of 6 boys. I wonder whether Auntie Nandini continued trying for a girl, just like my mother-in-law did, and ended up with 4 boys. Auntie Nandini ended up with 6 boys, half a cricket team. Anyway, his upbringing was largely influenced by his parents. His father took to politics, was a SLFP MP, and held several portfolios, the most notable being Minister of Aviation. Unfortunately, he is no more. Then Auntie Nandini was a teacher at Ananda, but has been and continues to be the guiding light for Arjuna, aged 84 years at present. So Arjuna started schooling in Gampaha Bandaranaike College for the first year and then joined Ananda and used to commute. Unfortunately, following the 1977 elections under the JR regime, there was political turmoil and their house was burnt down and the family were homeless. So the 6 brothers were scattered amongst relatives, and Arjuna came to live with his uncle and auntie in Nugegoda, Railway Avenue. So every cloud has a silver lining, and I wonder whether this in fact helped the blossoming romance between him and his first cousin, Samadara. So this is Arjuna with his father, who was his mentor, and of course his mother, who to this day guides him. And this is the family pictures. Unfortunately, only 4 of the brothers are shown in this. And on the picture on the right shows the family with Auntie Nandini. And I've heard Arjuna at interviews say that 3 women rule his life and he has no control over his life. And all 3 happen to be in this picture: his mother, his wife Samadara, and Tiangi. So Arjuna was a family man, is a family man, and a hands-on father. These are his early days. And then more recent pictures as the family expands and a new daughter-in-law came into the family. And this year, when he was felicitated in the US to mark the 25th anniversary of Sri Lanka winning the World Cup, and that shows Tiangi and Jan, the son. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Ajantha, who's going to talk about Arjuna the Cricketer.
Hi, Arjuna. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce you to the audience. Thank you very much indeed for being with us this afternoon, despite a long journey that you had this morning. You were a childhood prodigy as a schoolboy. You won the Schoolboy Cricketer of the Year in 1980, you were probably 15 years old then, and then repeated the feat 2 years later. And you were selected to the national team as a schoolboy of 18 years old. And you scored 50 on your debut in the inaugural test at the Oval in that year. Then you first had your had your first World Cup experience in 1983, and you came to England in 1984, and we all remember that fantastic test match, the first test match in England. At this stage, I wonder whether I could pose you some questions just to make it interactive. Who was the coach who helped your early career, and who were your heroes? Who did you wish to emulate most, please?
Thank you for having me. I'll start with the questions. I'll go with the coaching, all my coaches. I had 3 proper coaches. The first one, late Mr. Lal Mendes, who is no more with us. He's the one who, how do I say, gave me a chance to play cricket. I went for, when my brother was selected, I was too young to get selected for the under-12. I was about 9 years. So Mr. Mendes saw me playing tennis ball cricket outside, and he invited me to participate in the cricket practice. So that was my start. I think I'm very grateful to Mr. Lal Mendes. He's the one who taught me how to hold a bat. Not only that, how to walk, how to eat. It's not only cricket Mr. Mendes has given us. I think it's a life he gave us. And when I was graduating to under 17 and first 11, Mr. Anuruddha Polonoida, the former Sri Lankan captain, a Sri Lankan player who was my coach. In between, I had Mr. P.W. Perra. He's also no more with us. And he pushed me when I was about 14 or 15, maybe 14, to play in the under-12, in the second 11 side. When I was about 13, 14, he really pushed me to play, which Mr. Mendes and Mr. Polonovic was not very comfortable and happy because I was too small, but he insists that I should play in the second 11. And those are the three coaches I really had in my younger days. Then we had like Van Silva, Abu Fuad, I think. Then Mr. Polonovic was a coach. Then we had some international coach. But I will say my main coaches were the three coaches who got me to cricket in at college and after that as well. Heroes, that's a very, I never had heroes in my life when it comes to cricket. I always looked at some of the left-handers like David Gower when he was playing Alan Border. We never had the opportunity to see Sir Gary Sobers and the older crowd. We never had TV at that time. But when I started, when I was given the introduction, I shifted to Nugegoda and stayed with my uncle, and that's Samagra's father. And that is where I got into cricket. That's one reason that my mama was very keen to take me to NCC because he knew Mr. Dr. N. Empera. But unfortunately, the day he was planning to take me to NCC, he got sick and he passed away after 2 days. Then I had the opportunity, Mr. Sunil Vetamuni and late Michael D'Souza, who was a pillar at SSC, took me and Aya to SSC when I was about 15. So I really can't remember whether I had any heroes. After certain period, Sir Gary Sobers came to coach us, and then he helped me. I think the latter part, when I got into the national side, very quickly I got out from the national side. I got dropped for a tour to New Zealand, but then Mr. Sir Gary Sobers came to Sri Lanka as a coach, and he saw me when I was about 17, and he insisted that I should be in the national cricket pool. We had a 38-member pool, which I was not. Then he insists that I should be there. And then he got me to play in the one day matches as an all-rounder, bowling all-rounder. I used to bowl my 9 overs and bat at number 7. Then came the test match against Australia in 83. I got a 90 runs batting at number 6 or 5. And then that is the time I got really sealed in my national team as a batsman. So I think those are the heroes or the coaches I can mention.
Thank you very much, Arjuna. Here you are in the bottom low right-hand picture as a schoolboy scoring the 50 in the inaugural test match. So, so from 82 to 88, and at the age of 25, you were appointed captain of the Sri Lankan cricket team, and this is the team that you inherited. And you were a mere youngster. Quite a lot of the team consisted of the senior players still, like Roy Dyers and Dulip and so on. So you inherited this team when you became captain. And then you built the team from then on. And your main achievement really was to change the mindset and give the team self-belief, if I have analyzed it correctly. And the whole thing's turned upside down on the Boxing Day test in 95, when one of your chief weapons, Murali, was no ball, and this was a seminal moment in your in Sri Lankan cricket as well as your captaincy. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, I think before I come into that, a person I should mention, late Mr. Gamani Disanayaka, who was the cricket board head, and he was a very senior minister in the UNP government. But he really protected me. He never allowed some of the politicians to drag me into drag me out of the system. They were trying to harass me. But Mr. Disanayaka, what he did, he always said, Reggie's politics is nothing to do with Arjuna. Arjuna is my cricketer. And that is the way he protected me. And one thing, he always looked after me, like I think more than Naveen and the younger son. I think I should mention about Mr. Gamini Disanaga, and the other person is Mr. late Raja Mahendran, who passed away very recently. They were the ones who really protected me in my cricketing career. Then came the captaincy. I was very young. I was lucky to be Dulip Mendes' vice captain. Then when Dulip went, the selectors called me and said Ranjan Madugala was senior than me, that he should take over. And I was really happy for Ranjan, because I still feel that he was the best captain produced in our country. And I could learn to be number 2 to Ranjan. And I learned a lot from Ranjan as a leader and a captain. Unfortunately, he couldn't go for a longer period. And then when I took over in 88, very quickly I had to be out of the team. Like I was dropped once again from the captaincy in the 91 World Cup. Then, tell you honestly, I was quite happy playing as a batsman. That's the only time, a very, very few, I will say about a year, I enjoyed as a batsman without responsibility. And I was getting a lot of runs and I was winning matches. Anyway, then the selectors wanted me to take over after the 91 World Cup, which I was not very comfortable. But then they insist. Then I said, I'll take over on my own way. I think I should be given a green light to go ahead and do it. I said, I need to captain to the next World Cup, that is 96. And I need to have plans. I need to go on. And if you agree, and I will take over, otherwise I'm not. Then there were a lot of discussions. There were a lot of meetings. And after about 3 months, they gave me the green light to go ahead. That is the early story of my captaincy. Coming back to Murali's issue, when I heard about Murali playing school cricket, I can remember I went to see a match when Murali was playing for St. Anthony's. And at that particular time, instantly I knew this is a very strong case for Sri Lanka. What we were lacking at that time, after Ajitha Silva left, I think Ajitha was one of the best left-arm spinners I played in my entire career. And after that, I saw this young guy, Murali, could be a match winner one day. Then we invited him to the national squad, then took him to Australia, played against Australia in Colombo. Then when this issue started, in 1990, 95, we were not really sure what to do. And the rules were changing. But unfortunately, when Murali was called for the first time, I was off the field. And I had to rush back to the grounds. And then I had some, like, I won't say arguments at that time. I had some discussions with the umpires, but it was very, very little we could do. And then only the latter part, 98, the major issue, I think we might be able to speak later. Yeah. But overall, I felt like if you talk about this Rebel tour, I think what Mr. Gamini Disanaga did at that time, I don't know whether I should say it is the right thing or the wrong thing. As a young guy, I was invited to go to South Africa. I was just 18. And who stopped? Bandulaya told me, Malli, you have a long way to go. We are old. You are not going on this tour. I think that was, even I'm sure that my Amma will never allow me to go to South Africa at that time. But I was given an opportunity by one of the seniors to be part of the team. And I have a lot of respect for Bandulaya, because that my cricket career went from where I was mainly because of Bandulaya. And I think it was more like at that time, South Africa was struggling to come into the international cricket. And they were looking at some of the countries to go and represent them. So that is where they had to stop teams going. I think that must be the reason they were banned for 25 years. So overall, I think we lost a lot of top cricketers like Ajantha Jayatunga, Mahesh Gunatilaka, Arjuna Ranatunga. And even as a captain, I should say that I learned a lot from Bandula Varnapura in that very short period.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think Sri Lanka went over the top when England board banned their players for 2 years. We banned ours for 25 years, which was really over the top. Anyway, what do you think was your best test achievement under your captaincy?
I think winning the test match in England, I think that was one of my dreams. Winning the World Cup was the best thing happened to me and Sri Lanka cricket overall. But I felt when you analyzed the treatment we got from the England Cricket Board from 84 tour till 98 tour, we were getting only one test. We never got an opportunity to play 2 test matches. Yeah. And we were getting the test match in early summer rather than the late summer. But we were very lucky that we got the last test match in 98 against England in that summer, where we could capitalize, especially with the weather changing and the wickets were getting a little browner. And on that particular test match, what we felt, it was up to Murali to get England out twice. So we had to plan. Even when I won the toss and put England into bed, a lot of people criticized me, but I knew I had something inside me. It was Murali needed a rest in between. Like if he batted first and even if he got about 300-400 runs, still Murali had to bowl twice. And the other part was that I had to protect Aravind, especially we know that when we play in England, at least the first session in the first day, there's a movement. Yes. And so Ari was the key as far as we were concerned. And Sanath was not a key factor when we toured England, but to protect Ari and protect Murali, we had to come with a plan where it was not the best decision I took, but overall, when you analyze all 5 days, that was the best thing for us to win a test match.
Yeah, that was absolutely true. We were fortunate to be spectators of that test match, and I remember the comments by the commentators and when they scored 400 odd runs and they still lost the test, and I think Sanath played a major role, and of course Murali ran through the side, the English side. And of course, as you said, it was an Indian summer in England, and we capitalized on that. So that was one of the great events. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. You were never far from controversies. The Murali event in the January of 1996, I think, the Benson and Hedges match against England in Australia. He was called by Ross Emerson, and there was a lot of finger wagging going on. And could you tell us what you told Ross Emerson, please?
I think we might have to put beep, 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 beep sounds. I will say it will be a very, very adult-only language I might have used, but overall, I had to make a point. It was more like I never expected for anyone to call Murali after he got clearance from ICC. But luckily, one good thing is that I knew the rules properly. And generally, when an umpire has a doubt against a bowler, first thing he should do is to inform that to the captain, and which Emerson didn't do. That was the proper thing I started. That was when the controversy started. I went up to him and asked him why he didn't inform me. That is where he got stuck, and then we started the argument, go on for almost like maybe about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was more like I had to make a point saying that we can't say yes to everything, or we were generally, I'm sure that everyone knows that we are supposed to be gentlemen, happy go guys, say yes to everything. When a when a foreign people say, especially Suddha say something, we put our heads down and say yes. But unfortunately or fortunate, I was not. I always took a decision. When I take decisions, I take a decision on the right path rather than whether it benefits me or not. When I take decisions, I always knew what was the rule. And the argument was very long, but overall, I wanted to make a point and say, we Sri Lankans are not going to bend down to everything. And I'm sure they learn a lesson from that.
Good for you. I mean, on the cricket field, normally those who play cricket would say umpire's word is the law and you never argue. Here you are, a brownie, for pulling up a white umpire in a foreign land, and that was it took some bravery for you to do that. I must say, I must admit that that was one of the bravest things that we saw on television. So thank you very much. You changed the whole process of calling bowlers action because of that incident. I think several things happened. And then ultimately there was a process that was installed to when the suspect action is to be questioned.
Even if you go and see the left-hand picture, that is one of the best pictures I will ever see. This is the day I was supposed to go for an inquiry. And you could see how many Sri Lankans came on that particular day to support me.
Yeah.
Even the players were with me, and not only the players, there were Sri Lankans came outside the ground when I went inside for the inquiry. That was the strong points, or the guts I had to go and face the inquiry.
Well, the whole of Sri Lanka was behind you, and certainly you were under siege, and Percy Abhisekara there thought that you were going to be imprisoned, I guess, and they wanted to hang Emerson, not. And that was a very, very iconic picture, I must say. Thank you very much for the stance you took on behalf of all the Asians. I mean, we were being sort of subdued by the so-called white supremacy, and you made it a point to pull them up in their own game. So thank you very much for that event. Well, you were never far from controversies, and you were never a person to back down. I remember you had an incident with Imran as well, as probably before you became captain, when he tried to throw the ball at you and you raised the bat at him. Can you comment on that?
When we started, actually, we got test status in 81. We were lucky to play the first test match in 82, but we were treated very differently by the other teams. But to tell you honestly, India and Pakistan supported us and tried to protect us at that particular time. I don't know whether India does that now, but generally I know they were treated us like the younger brother. And one thing I found when I was a very young person, when we played in Pakistan, it was all about the umpiring. And even when Imran was bowling no ball, they never call him for no bowling. So I had to show that to the umpires. Sometimes I used to be a little rude. I was on the non-strikers and say no ball. And so there were arguments. I think I had a attitude where I hate to lose when I'm representing a club or a school or even the national side. I always felt that we were so talented, we were good, but unfortunately the treatment we got from some of the other countries were not good enough. And that was something I had to do with some of the younger cricketers, change their mindset. Nothing about the talent, it's all about the mindset. Even a person like Imran, who was at his peak, I'm sure that he was touching more than 100 miles per hour at that time, but still I could go and face-to-face fight with him. Like if he's wrong, it is wrong. So I think that is the respect I got from most of these senior cricketers who played with me when I was a young kid.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, you stood up to the bullies. You took on the Australian cricketing establishment. You were also quite combative in any situation. You had a run-in with Alex Stewart. I think he came and said you have disgraced the game. And Shane Warne, you said he's an overrated bowler and he should be banned for his drug taking and so on. And you want to comment on those?
I think it's all about how you handle pressure. Like generally when we used to play with Australia, England, even New Zealand at that time, they used to talk to us. I don't know whether I should say sledging. It was sledging, but it was all about how they try to push us down mentally. I think we were not very strong at that time. We were, I think the culture we were brought up is totally different. I think we were like covered by the parents and guided by the parents. Whatever they say, whatever the elders say, we used to say yes. And those were the attitudes we had even in our cricket. But when it comes to some of the sledging things, like we used to turn the other side and walk away rather than argue. But it came to a stage where we had to show them that we were not bullies. And to do that, like I had a lot of troubles with some of these, like I say, Australia, England, maybe New Zealand, when I was batting with Aravind. Aravind is one person who doesn't want to get into arguments. He gets messed up when he gets into arguments. So I always used to tell him, like, you just concentrate on your batting. I do the fighting. Even in the World Cup finals, when I was walking in, because that I said that Warne and two War brothers are mediocre cricketers. That was something I created to mentally put them down. Yeah. Rather than, I know that they were brilliant cricketers, but overall they used to bully us and we used to get caught. But one particular time I was very successful just before the World Cup finals. I said these three are very ordinary cricketers, hyped by the media, and it didn't go well against them. And I could see that when I walked in, we were supposed to get about 100 runs and they were targeting me, they were attacking me, saying so many things. So Ari was a little upset. Then I said, don't worry, you handle your side and get me 100. I'll tackle my side. And I could perform better when things are bad. I could perform better when someone is shouting at me. So that is something I was born with, I will say. I don't know whether it's the right thing for cricket, but generally that is me.
Yeah, thank you. Now, you opposed franchise cricket vehemently. Unfortunately, it is here to stay. And also, you have a stance against advertising. Do you want to comment on those?
I was very unhappy when I saw the 2020 starting. So I was very worried about the game. The game we played when we were young, and it was shifting towards soccer or the football. It was more about playing for franchises rather than the country. You could see that happening now. You take two New Zealand guys, one of the top bowlers got injured soon after the IPL and first game for New Zealand. And even one of the Bangladeshi stars got injured. But this is something people doesn't realize. Like you start in your school cricket, then you get into the national side. You are given everything by the cricket boards. The food, vitamins, money, clothes, whatever you say, it was provided by the cricket authorities. And ultimately, if you can't play the major tournaments like the World Cups, and the amount of investment we go through with some of these players are undermined. That is where the Premier League in soccer is happening. Like you take some of these premier football players are brilliant, getting a lot of money, but when it comes to their national team, they look very ordinary. I'll tell you, another 10 years, it will be shifting there. I think that is why I was very, very worried. Advertising part, that is something I always give credit to my mother. My mother, I was offered a TV ad when I played my first test match when I was 18. And Lipton's tea, late Michael D'Souza, who was one of my mentors, like he's one guy who protected me as SSC. He came with an offer, and I can remember my amma used to give them a cup of tea, spoke to them very nicely and said, my son is not for sale. And then amma said, don't sell your talent or your body or the looks for money. I don't know. And I never appeared in ads apart from all the charity ads I did. But I think it has given me, I might have lost a lot of money, but ultimately the advice given by mother has given me different concept in my life. Even after the 96 World Cup, I was offered a massive TV contract with my son, who started playing cricket when he was about 4, 5, 6 years. But I said, you convince my mother, I don't have a problem. I never had a problem on that. But principally, my father and mother, what they told us, how to, like, even when you do an ad, like my father used to come and say, why are these boys are doing this, and it's harmful for children, whether it's milk or sausages or all these short eats or whatever. Why are they promoting this? Tell them to stop. So I couldn't do that, but I was trying to show them that whatever the money I was offered, it should not advertise. Like you take, none of our cricketers say drink Pambili. No one says that. Eat brown rice. No, they promote noodles. But so this is where I get hurt. But overall, I can't do anything about it. But when my mother told me, don't sell your talent or the body or the looks for money, and I decided I will never appear on ads. Even my first charity ad, I went and told my mother, that was we never had an MRI scan in the general hospital. Then Dr. Colin Samarsingh came and asked me to do a signature on a cap, and we sold a lot of caps, and we bought a MRI scanner. I think that was one of my first one. Then I appeared in a polio ad and appeared in one of the 2 more charity ads. And that's it. I might have lost financially, but I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, for the stance. We respect you for that. Well, Arjuna, you had one of the finest cricketing brains. You, as a captain, instilled discipline and called for hard work. You instilled self-belief. That was your main contribution, and called for dedication from the team. You were a master strategist, and you changed the game with the power play system. You loved you had a master stroke where you sent the 2 master blasters to open, and you also understood the game more than the others. Here you are on the top right. You are taking stock during a match when perhaps things are not going quite your way. And also you're taking a weather check on the lower left picture. You just study the situations, the conditions much better than the others. And that was one of the things that helped us to win the World Cup. And you are a man for collective effort by the team. And you always, in another interview, you told that you listened to all the players who came into the team and took their opinions, but you made the final decision. So here you are on the lower right, you're causing despair amongst your opponents.
I think it's all about the commitment I had to put in to change the concept of ours, like change the attitude of our cricketers. I think that was something I really had the toughest time I had in my life. When I took over in 91, I had to change their mindset. I think there was a time where we used to go play matches, lose within half an hour. You come back to the come back to the hotel, have a quick change, go out, partying, coming late. And I saw that as a younger cricketer. I saw that as a vice captain. When I took over, I had to sit with my 4 senior cricketers. They were my fingers. It's Arsanga Guru Singh, Roshan Mahanama, Hashan Tilakaratne, and Arvind. So I had to sit with 5 of us sat for a longer time. Like I sat for about 2-3 hours the first day. Then we had long chats, and we decided we had to do a lot of commitments. We had to do a lot of sacrifices. You had to get the younger guys involved. Some of these guys never had a place to stay, so we had to accommodate them. Like people coming from Ratmalan or Ravinda had to bring them and come. So Guru Singh comes from Nugegoda, so he takes the Pittakot area guys to training. I takes the other guys from the Navala Road for training. It was more like a collective thing. And what the advantage I had was, by the time we come to the 96 World Cup, I had 4 senior cricketers who were like my pillar, where I know that I was very safe with these 4 cricketers. And they used to emphasize on the discipline. I'm a tough disciplinarian, so they knew that, and that is how they could control some of the players. Tell you honestly, like those days, even some of my senior cricketers used to go to nightclubs. So even I used to tell the seniors, take the younger guys, show them what it is, show the good and bad things happening. And I'm sure that we protected a lot of cricketers. We protected a lot of younger guys who come from outstation. And even some of the cricketers, till they got married, I had their passbook, the bank book was with me. And if they had to spend money, they had to come and take permission from me or take me to the bank. So it was more like, it was not the captaincy I did. It was more like one day I was like a father to them, then the elder brother, someday a friend, someday a younger brother. And I was lucky that some of them I helped their wives in a different way. So it was, ultimately, it was not a team I built. It was more like a family, which we all had one vision, that is to target the 96 World Cup. And I even some of the decisions we took, it's not the nicest thing to say. One day I sat with Dulip Mendis in Australia. So we had I can't say what I had. I won't say it's not a cup of tea. Both of us sat for about 2-3 hours, had a really good drink. And that day I just told Dulip, why don't we open with Kalu? Kalu was getting a lot of runs in the middle, and he used to get out the 9th wicket. Sometimes he was not out. So I said, we are not using this child. Can we get him to open? At that time, Roshan Mahanam was struggling. So when I told this, Dulip said, no, we'll go on. We don't want to have too many controversies. We had a lot of controversies on that too. Then I spoke to Kalu next day morning with Dulip, and he was not very comfortable. So I said, don't worry, I'll protect you. I'll give you a chance. You try and see whether you can do this for the team. Don't think of yourself, because Roshan Iyer is struggling. I want Roshan Iyer to bat in the middle. So there were 2 things, like one, to get Kalu to go and play his normal game, and he could hit over the boundary line, and he could play very good shots. And Roshan, why we pushed Roshan down, especially at that time, after the 40th over, the fast bowlers come back again. So I was little struggling with a guy who could manage in the late middle order. So I spoke to Roshan and I told him, I need someone to bat at number 6, 7. So one good thing was, those days, not a single guy came and told me, no, I want to open. I will never play if I'm not opening. If I'm not batting at number 3, I will not play. But they used to listen to me, and if I explain it to them, why I am doing this, for the sake of team, not anything else. And they agreed. Even some of the matches, I used to push myself down to number 6. Sometimes I used to push myself up to number 4. So that speciality we had in the 96 team, and everyone could understand each other and everyone could help each other. And we used to work in pairs as well. That was something we introduced in the last 6 months. Like I was not the greatest fielder, so I had to pair with Upul Chandana, who was supposed to be, who not supposed to, he was one of the best fielders in 96 team. So he had to improve my fielding. That was his task. So I had to improve his batting and bowling. So I was more like the coaching. So fortunately, I could improve his batting and bowling. He couldn't improve my fielding. But when he tells me, yeah, you have to take 25 catches, I can't say, no, Upula, I can't do it. I had to go and do that. So those are the understanding we had each other. And I think it helped us a lot.
Thank you very much. Well, of course, accolades followed. We were ICC champions, Asian champions, world champions, and you were awarded the Wisden Cricketer of the Year and Deshamanya and all that kind of thing, and many other trophies too long for me to mention. But here you are on top of the world in the bottom slide, where the whole world is looking at you, racing that World Cup. And and on the top right hand, all the World Cup winners, you're with them. So you achieved so much during your tenure. And of course, being world champions was the Sri Lanka's proudest moment. You made us all very proud. You had changed the game already, and that change has come to stay. Pinch hitting in the power play is something that you thought of and introduced. You gave Sanath and Kalu the license to play their game. And we had to beat, you knew you had to beat the powerhouses in cricket to become world champions. And you beat England, India, and Australia. And we must remember that this was all achieved when the country was at its lowest ebb, with a background of mayhem in the country, with bombs, daily deaths, and with Australia and West Indies boycotting. And I guess you were very angry. And I wondered whether these events bonded the team together even more. Do you want to comment on that?
I think I was not, I won't say I was angry. I was not really angry, but I was very hurt, because I can remember when it comes to the World Cup, people in Sri Lanka was very keen on watching, playing against West Indies, Australia, and the other 3 countries which they agreed to come. But when they pulled out, on one hand, I knew that we are in the quarterfinals. We have never achieved getting into a quarterfinals. So I told Anna Puncheva, who was the president, when he went for the ICC meeting, because they were supposed to discuss about the points. I told Mr. Puncheva, I said, President, don't come back to Sri Lanka without my 4 points. If you come back, if you want to come back, I will try to chase you out from the airport if you come back without my 4 points. So when I had those 4 points, so we were playing Kenya. Even if you lose to India, and even if you lose to Kenya, we were still in the quarters. So that is something I always thought, okay, on one side, on one good side, that we are in the quarterfinals, you just need one match to win. But on the other hand, I was very hurt that the Sri Lankans who are living here, were, like what you mentioned earlier, struggling with the war, and the deaths were happening, the bombs were going, and it was not the happiest time we had. And even we were very careful when we were traveling. And I thought pulling out from Sri Lanka was hurting a lot of Sri Lankans. That was the issue I had. And the day I came back to Sri Lanka and I heard Prabhakaran stopped the war on that particular day, he announced a ceasefire for them to watch and for army to watch. I thought that was the best achievement my team had, not winning the World Cup. We could stop a war playing a game of cricket. So I thought that we could get this country right one day. And that was something I always had in my mind. That's one reason I came into politics as well. Why I came into politics, I thought through sports we could get everyone together, like without the religious issues or the other issues. So I think I felt those things, and then when it comes to the team, especially that Australian tour and tours after that, we were gelling together. We were getting into form at the right time. We were peaking at the right time, and we had a lot of meetings. It didn't happen overnight. Some of the meetings used to go for 2-3 hours, and I'm a person who doesn't like to go out in the nights. Like, I'm a person who prefer to stay in the hotel, watch the videos, like whatever the game I play. I used to sit around 6:37 and I watch the entire match again. That's something I used to do. I learn a lot from those, and I used to read on the rules. But overall, I used to analyze the mistakes we did and some of the things we did where we could improve. So those were the things I did when I was accused by one of the managers, Mr. Sri Lanka, saying that I was a loner. But people know that I was not a person who used to go for parties. I prefer to stay indoors. And a lot of people didn't know what I was doing inside. I was not sleeping. I was not watching movies. I was watching what we did on that particular day, or some of the weaknesses I used to analyze. So those are the things I did. I'm very proud that I could spend my time. I never had interference from my family. They were given me a green light to do whatever I want. And I was so lucky that I was born and brought up the way I was brought up.
Thank you. So obviously you turned the bad things in your favor, and you appreciated the gesture by Indian and Pakistan captains to bring teams. You mentioned that. So they treated you well, and they treated you as a younger brother and supported us. So you mentioned that. Thank you. So winning the World Cup, you were the first captain to insert the opposition to take the first lease, and that's despite you being advised by Imran Khan and others. You were mocked by the commentators. We remember very well. We were listening very intently. You were mocked by the commentators that you have, by that decision, you had given the World Cup away. But you knew better. You had studied, you had done your background preparation. You knew the conditions would change with the due factor coming in, nullifying perhaps Shane Warne and the bowling attack. So you had a strategy and you stuck to that despite everybody advising you against that. And here you are delivering the final blow in the World Cup, the match-winning boundary. So do you want to comment on why you made those decisions?
I think we analyzed that we were very good chasers. Right through the tournament, we decided whatever the score the other team put on the board, we could chase, whether it is 300 or 350. We had the batting to chase. And we were not the best bowling side. We were very, very decent bowling attack. So we decided we will chase. Even the India game, luckily, I lost the toss. If I had won the toss, we could have fielded first. So it might have been, the results might have been totally different. Even on that particular day, this particular photograph on top, I was hitting some shots and I was just about to go to change before the toss. So Imran came towards me and gave me a hug and asked, what are you going to do? I said, we were thinking of chasing. Then he said, don't. It's a very good batting track. Get 270, 260, put pressure on the others. Then I said, yeah, okay. And then I looked at the other side. Dulip was next to me. Then I said, Dulipaya, what shall we do? Then called Aravinda. Aravinda was very keen on batting. Ari always said, we'll bat first, put pressure. That is one theory, had been there for a long period. Then I said, we'll take a final decision. We'll go inside. We all went inside. Then everyone said, yeah, we have taken a decision. Might as well stick to the decision. There was another issue we had, like the first day when we went for practice. This was soon after the Indian match. The next day we went to Lahore, and we said we'll go for a stretch. So we went to the stadium around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and there were a lot of moisture on the ground. So I knew this, the curator. I have met him from 1982. He was the same curator. So he came and spoke to me, and he said, it's the dew. Then next day we were practicing and we could find the dew. You won't believe the day of just day before the finals, we had the official dinner. So it was more like something like 1,000 people attended the dinner. And I was seated in the long front, table. I was in one corner, and Mark Taylor was seated on the other corner. The trophy was in front of me, and I could see a lot of Australians came and took photographs. Then Vasi came and spoke to me and said, shall we take photographs? I said, no, we are taking the trophy back. You can take photographs there, not here. Don't take a single photograph. Show them that we are not bothered to take photographs. So those are the mental aspects I try to adopt. And even at that time, I called Dulip and I said, shall we do the last checkup? Shall we go to the ground? So we got a vehicle organized. It was about 15 minutes drive. No one knew. Both of us went to the ground, checked the moisture. It was very wet, and came back, and we took a decision at that time. But final decision I had to take because of Imran's statement. I had to go and consult the players again, and then everyone said, no, we took a decision, we'll stick to the decision.
Thank you very much. Well, obviously, your the strategic planning was one of your strengths. So there you are, Sri Lanka's pride you were, and it was the nation's finest hour. We were on top of the world. We who were outside the country literally grew wings on ourselves. We were sort of flying on cloud 9, and that feeling lasted for months. And this win was beyond the wildest dreams. Obviously, you had planned it 4 years ahead or 5 years ahead, but for us, it was beyond the wildest dreams at that stage, and we were the ultimate giant killers. And this achievement has not been achieved by any team before or after against such odds that you had at the time. So thank you very much for delivering that to us. So I'll just dwell on some statistics. You captained the country 193 times, won 89, and with a staggering win percentage of 48.3. Now, as you said, something changed in 92 because most of the wins happened after 92. And you pointed out that you came back as captain in 91 and you had your way from then on. So just looking at the ODI series, these are series, bilateral, triangular and multilateral series. We won 17 of them, and when we lost the multilateral ones, we were runner-up. We lost narrowly. But looking at the period 92 to 99, all those wins were in that period when you had cemented your team, you had built your team together around yourself, and that's when things change. And just to dwell on your batting statistics, you scored 5,000 runs in 93 tests at an average of 36, and in ODIs you had 7,500 runs at an average of 36 at a strike rate of 78. And these are statistics that our viewers might want to know. So this is my final slide. Then the year after you retired from cricket, you entered politics and you entered Chandrika Bandaranaike's government. And then you went into the opposition, and in 2008 and in 2010 you supported Sanath Fonseca and joined the coalition government of Maithripala Sirisena and became a minister of ports, shipping, and which included your father's previous portfolio, the aviation. Right, so my question at this stage is this. You admired Imran Khan and Kapil Dev in their campaigns, and Imran Khan, after his cricket, he campaigned hard and won on clean governance and stamped out political corruption and privileges. Like Imran, who delivered the World Cup as well, will you be the person who will deliver clean politics to Sri Lanka? That's, you may or may not want to answer that.
No, I will.
Okay.
To tell you honestly, I was invited to, I got into politics mainly because of my father. And former President Mrs. Chandrika Bandaranaike is the one who invited me. And I was in that government for a longer period. Then Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa's government, I was a deputy minister for a very short time. Then I was in the parliament till the last election. I was in the, most of the time I was in the opposition. I worked with SLFP, I worked with UNP, I worked with SF when Sanath Fonseca contested with JVP. And one issue I had and having is that I am not a party person. I don't have parties. I can change parties anytime because I don't trust parties. I think it's high time. You're absolutely right. When are we getting clean politics? Tell you honestly, I'm struggling to get clean people to come forward in our country. They don't want to get involved. The way things are happening, a lot of people prefer to take a step back. The educated people, honest people, what they say, why should we get into the same mess? But unfortunately, I'm one of the big admirers as far as Imran is concerned, how he managed things and how he handled politics. For me, I couldn't start my own because that I'm a person who is very weak when it comes to my father and mother. Because I don't want to hurt them, even if I become the president and if it hurts my mother or father, I will take a step back. And I was not very keen on getting into politics, but when I got in, I thought we could do something good for the country. And I worked with SLFP, I worked with UNP, and then even Fonseca's time I was working with JVP. And what I feel now, we need a new concept in this country. We need a concept where we could work as Sri Lankans rather than the politicians. Now, I'm so glad that whatever I earned from cricket, Samudra could invest those in, I'm into hydropower and I started a solar company. I'm doing business to manage my life rather than surviving from the government money. And even when I took over the, when we won the 2015, Mr. Maithripala Sirisena, the former president, asked me whether I wanted to do sports. I said, no, I don't think I should do sports. I'll handle the cricket board with the most toughest minister, give it to me. Most corrupted minister, give it to me. That was the request I made, and he gave me ports and aviation. Port is the most corrupted institution in the country, and I could clean it. I'm not saying that I could clean it 100%, but I'm sure that I clean it at least 80%, 90%, because certainly within 1.5 years, we ran the port with profit after so long. So we did a lot of changes, and even in the petroleum, we did a lot of changes. There were time where they used to bring low quality stuff, which I stopped. And even the transport sector, we changed. Like, even you won't believe, we still travel on lorry chassis, not the bus chassis. And I stopped lorry chassis coming into the country. I put a cabinet paper and a gazette, and then we started getting the proper bus chassis to the country. So I did a lot of work, even developing work, and I was very keen to get into the cricket board, something like Gamini Dissanayake did. And unfortunately, it's a mafia where you won't able to get into cricket, especially with this lot. I'll come to that later. But when you look at the country, even I was in the opposition, I was supporting our candidate Sajid, but inside me, I thought Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, one thing is he comes from my same school and I know him pretty well. And he invited me about 3 times. He invited me to come and join. So I said, it will be very difficult for him to handle with the same setup. I think that's the exact thing I told him. I am sure what is happening, I don't know, because my theory was, when we were not in the parliament, give them a couple of years to run. The entire world is affected with COVID. The government can't say, because of COVID, we got into mess. No, they mismanage things. From outside, I learn, I read. I don't talk about it outside, but overall, I felt that it's a very failed government. And I feel that if we get out from this party politics and individual politics, try to get some new concept for the country, new people, which what you said, like come to service the country, like what Imran is doing. I'm sure if I can get hold of 10 guys, I will be the first person to jump out and start new.
Thank you very much for that answer. I know behind every successful man, there is a strong woman, and we'll thank Samandara for...
I have 3, not 1, 3.
3, okay.
3.
So Arjuna, so that was supposed to be just an introduction. Thank you very much for being with us this evening in your case. And I must thank the SLS committee, particularly Mahendra, who organized, who does all the tech stuff, and Ruan Soisa, who is the brains behind it. And I must thank Samadara for facilitating this event, and to Tiangi for being the apple of your eye, as you see in this picture, as well as being a superb organizer and sending me all the information that I needed to cover this session. Now, it's over to you, Arjuna. The floor is yours. Now we'd like to hear how you would resurrect Sri Lankan cricket to its former glory. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having me. I'll start with that. But coming back to cricket, I don't think we have a problem with talent. Talent-wise, if you saw the last couple of games we played, the present players looks pretty good. I had the time to watch them playing, but unfortunately, I could see some of the mistakes they did. And it is very easy for us to criticize a captain or a team or a manager or a coach after an incident. But saying that, you take the last game against England, everyone knows. And even if, I'll tell you a story. When I walked after that day, when I went to my office, there was a 3-wheeler guy outside. And he said, "Sir, Balanda sir, what this in Sinhalese he said was, see what has happened. Why didn't they play the additional spinner?" And this is a 3-wheeler guy. I said, you should be you should be the chairman selection committee, because that particular guy was crying and said, why didn't you tell them to play a spin? I said, I'm not involved anymore, but said, everyone knows, no, sir, England is weak against spin. So these are the basic fundamental mistakes we do. And unfortunately, I was very hurt when Mahela joined the team and left the team, especially at the crucial time. I questioned that. Like I personally feel like even I told Mahela, this was about a year back, why don't you take over the national side? Why do you want all these foreign guys to come in and get money and go away? And unfortunately, we have a system in this country. Everyone wants to be consultants. They don't want to take responsibilities. That's the same thing happens to the government as well. All prefer to be advisors, consultants, rather than the guys who will take responsibility and say, yes, it went wrong, we did a mistake. And it doesn't happen in cricket. The major problem, I say, it is not the talent, it's all about the management. Now, if I analyze this, I was very lucky. I got into the national side when I was 18 in 1982. And at that time, Bandhu was the captain, and after a very short period, he went to South Africa. Then Dulip and Roy took over. When Dulip and Roy took over, we were the younger guys. The senior guys were Siddharth Vetamuni and Ranjan Madugal, D.S. De Silva. They were the senior pros. And we learned from these guys, and we were protected by these guys. And then when Dulip and Roy went, Ranjan Madugala took over, and I was Ranjan's vice captain. Then Aravinda was there, Ravi Ratnayaka was there. Then 4 of us were the ones who used to control the game and protected the younger guys. Then Ranjan went, then 3 of us. Then Arvind and I had a longer period, like 8 years we were the captain and the vice captain. So we built Sanath, we built Marwan, like we were building the future captains, we were building the teams. I can remember after 96, I was batting at number 5, and we brought Mahela Jayawardene to bat at number 6, number 5, and I pushed down to number 6 because I thought by 99 I'll be going, and I had to have someone who could replace me. And when I retired, I was batting at number 7 because Sangakkara came in and he batted at number 3. So there were sacrifices made by a lot of players. Even Hashan Tilakaratne used to bat at number 6, 7. Then when he took over, then he went up to number 4. So we were building cricketers, we were building teams, we were building younger guys. But from 2015, it came to a stage where when Mahela, Sangha and Dilshan left at the same time, we couldn't cope up with it. We never built, like there were 2 cricketers I always thought should have taken over from Mahela and Sangha. That was Thiriman and Chandimal. They were never given a proper place in the side. They were batting at number 3, the next they were batting at number 6. They were never protected. And unfortunately, the selectors couldn't do the proper decisions. And when the 3 seniors left, and Murali left about a year before, and it was a new team, even Chandimal or Thiriman, their places were not even certain. By the time I left, Sanath took over, Marwan, Sanath, then Hashan was there. There were a lot of, Rasal Lahanal was there. There were a lot of cricketers who could replace my position. So unfortunately, when these 3 senior cricketers went, we couldn't replace them. That was one issue I could see. And the other part is the administration. You take the same administration, from 2015, the present administrators are the ones who has been running. They were presidents for 2 years, secretary for the next 2 years, treasurer for the next 2 years. This is the most corrupted unit still running. And unfortunately, you take the government has been changed, ministers have been changed, captains have been changed, but the corrupt administrations have never been changed because they know how to capture the sports minister who comes into power. They know how to capture. They know how to see their weakness and capture them. And even like the present minister, Namal Rajapaksa, called me and said, Ayya, I need your help. And that's it. In front of a lot of people, he came and said, Ayya, will you get involved and help me? And that's it, not a call. So luckily, I'm so glad now people like Arvinda, Mahela, Sangha, and Roshan Mahanama is involved, Murali is involved. But overall, I feel that we have to have our own taste. I personally prefer Mahela to take over the coaching job. I personally prefer Sanghakara to take over the CEO job. If they want money, pay them money. If we can pay $40,000, $50,000 for a coach, why can't we pay $30,000, $40,000 for Mahela or Sanghakara? I openly say that, but unfortunately, now Mahela goes and do coaching for Bombay, Mumbai Indians, or so Sangha goes and do coaching for some of the other teams. But when it comes to Sri Lankan cricket, I don't know whether the Sri Lankan cricket has ever asked these guys whether would you like to take over the national side. I'm sure that they will say yes. But unfortunately, even money, why can't we offer them a proper handsome amount? If we can give it to the Suddhas, why can't we give it to our own guys? That is my theory. But unfortunately, it has not happened. So these are the issues. But overall, and the other major issue I see, the school standard has gone down because the Sri Lanka cricket doesn't spend money on school cricket. And they spend now, I went through Australian cricket day before. They are playing a final tonight, but they are playing the 4-day tournament now. Their state cricket is still on. And what we did, we are looking at playing a Sri Lankan or Lankan Premier League, LPL. We cancelled the #1 tournament in the country to play a LPL. So this is the first class tournament we used to play, even at Bandulaya's time. And up to last year, we used to play this major tournament. That's a first class tournament. They stopped that. And they wanted to play the LPL where the money comes and the corruption comes, fixing comes. So it has been a really, really awful decisions they have been taking. And even I spoke to some of these advisors and say, why didn't you stop this and play the Premier tournament? They said, we advise, they take decisions. So this is one problem we face. When you look at some of these younger guys who played in the last series, and I feel that we have found a very good, very positive captain. Only unfortunate thing I saw on this tournament, he's not using himself properly. It happens to me, like I could bowl, but when I took over the captaincy, I tend to give more chances to the others than using yourself. And that is something I spoke to him and I told him, whenever I see something, I tell them, but it's up to them to take or leave it. Even the 3 players who were suspended, what happened was they had issues earlier, and they were from 3 major clubs. One from the cricket board president, one from the cricket board vice president. So because of that, they were not punished properly. And remember, these guys come from outstation. These poor people come from outstation, and they live in a different world. And suddenly they get into national side. The money comes in. They will be identified everywhere. And sometimes they couldn't understand the gravity of it. They don't know how to react to some of the issues. And even the suspend of these 3 players, even if I was the captain, I should have suspended them. But they out of that, this Mendes boy, I have found he's one of the major talent we have in the country. And he was not handled properly. Even this Dhanushka Gunatilake is a really good one-day cricketer. And unfortunately, they got into this mess because of the bad management. See, the 3 cricketers have been punished. The manager is the same, coaches are the same, the entire officials are the same, but poor cricketers are the ones who suffers. So this is the problem, because the present manager is a person who has a vote in the Sri Lankan board election. So they don't want to release him because that they will lose the vote. So it's all about for me, it's all about mismanagement rather than anything else. And I feel that if they give a proper chance to Dasun Shanak on a one-day thing, not the longer term. Longer term, I'm sure that the other boy is handling it well. And overall, I feel that we need to look at our strengths. We don't play for our strengths. We play according to the book rather than on our now the West Indies I'm glad that they are playing in goal because that's one place where we win more matches, especially with the spinners, and they don't have spinners. So one good thing is that earlier they were planning to play at Pallekele, and Pallekele is supposed to be a fast track. I'm sure that most likely Aravind or maybe Mahela Sangha, someone might have told them to change the venues. The advantage, you need to capitalize on the home advantages. I used to do that. Even I can remember when we were playing England or Australia or South Africa, I used to go to Galle at least 2 weeks before. I used to go every week. I used to go and check the wicket, and I used to tell them, take off the grass. I am playing three spinners. So that's the way we were so committed at that time. I don't know whether the present guys are doing that. And to bring it back, I'm sure that you need to clean the head, because if the head is not clean, it is very difficult for us to manage the younger guys.
Arjuna, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are your views about a coach? Should he be a local person or a foreigner?
I personally feel that we need to have our own taste in a cricket team. When Davutmu came to coach us, a lot of cricketers struggled to understand what he was saying. And I had to keep Asanga, Roshan and Hashan next to him to translate. And even our pattern is totally different than their patterns. But when it comes to selection, I prefer the coach could be part of the selection as an advisor, not as a selector, because the coach can be very independent. But unfortunately, the present administration get hold of the coaches and push their own players. But if someone like Mahela comes in, if someone like Aravinda comes in as a coach, or Roshan Mahanam come in as a coach, they could say they didn't. I'm sure that they don't want to lose games, so they have to perform. To perform, I'm sure that they will pick the best possible side, without thinking of whether they come from SSC, NCC, CCC, or Bloomfield.
Thank you.
But on the other hand, in our culture, there are a lot of networking, and somebody is someone. So if a local person becomes a coach, he'll have a lot of pressure from different people because of our networking system, which is part of our culture. Whilst a foreign coach would not be exposed to that type of pressure.
But if you take the coaching, like if you take the past coaches, none of them perform well because they have been pressurized by the board more than some of our own players. Like you take Mahela or Sangakkar or even Aravind, they will never listen to some of these board administrators. But for some of these foreign coaches to survive, they might have to. So that has been the pattern for last, I will say, at least 6 to 7 years.
Lakshmi, would you like to ask your question?
Actually, this is rather than a question, this is an observation I have made. Actually, when I said that I knew Arjuna when he was in shorts, it's true. Since about 10 years, I've seen him in school. I was an A-level teacher, so I didn't have the chance to teach him, but I taught his brother, Dhammika. So Nandini and we were staff mates, and Arjuna had this trait. even from that age, I can remember very well. So one day Nandini was very upset in the staff room, and when we asked why, she said, no, this is Arjuna. So what is about Arjuna? No, he went and reprimanded his father, who is a minister, and said that your ministerial work is not important. It is more important to see your son play in the cricket team, in the junior cricket, and I played, and father was not there. So I was very upset, and he has gone and reprimanded and been very rude to his father, and Nandini had to punish him very badly. So he was, I can remember that incident very, very well, where Arjuna was punished by Nandini very badly, and she felt very bad at that time. And also I must say that Mr. Rajapaksa is another person who helped to get away with, because at that time Arjuna's father was a minister, politician, the mother was in staff, and there were several of his brothers in school, and he was promoted to the cricket team, and he was the captain. So obviously they had a lot of opposition. Yeah, under the opposition in schools, because why Ranatunga family, always Ranatunga. The teachers used to criticize, and one day Mr. Rajapaksa just told me, I can't deal this Lakshmi, because this is getting a lot of opposition, but I know that one day Arjuna Ranatunga will be a name that will be proud Sri Lankan name. So he had that vision even from that time, and Mr. Rajapaksa said, I have to support this boy. And so he was just telling me, because Mr. Rajapaksa used to tell me when he was angry of certain things, because he didn't treat me as a teacher, he just thought I was just a schoolgirl or something. So because I was very young at that time, so I knew that Arjuna had that strong character even, and he was young. And please give my love and long life to your dear mother, Nandini.
I will do that. I think the issue started, one of the ministers called me and asked me to favor one cricketer. So I said, no, I will not do that. I will play my best team. Then he was talking about something else. I said, why don't you look after your ministry rather than getting into my area? This is my area. Stay out of this. And I kept the phone. So he told my father that I was very rude. And I told the father I was trying to explain, but these ministers can't understand. I was very young. Then that statement, and after that I was caned by my mother as well. So
your mother felt very bad.
I know. But I had to, I was very upset about it, but I couldn't control it when a minister calls a cricket captain and tell a cricket captain to play someone which he was not even in a squad. So I had to explain it to him very well, but unfortunately he didn't listen. So I said, why don't you look after your area, look after my area?
Yeah, I think you have illustrated your point about the question that Professor Sanath Lamawat-Surya raised. Now, I have a question on chat from Yasat. Regarding Adelaide in 99, I think it took a while for science behind clearing Murali's action to reach the mainstream media. Though you and the team may have been aware of all this yourselves, given this, how big a risk did you think you were taking when you took the side off the field, and how confident were you that you would win that battle?
I think what happened was we were given a green light before that tour regarding Murali's action. He was tested thrice. And so we had the documentation when it comes to clearance. Right. But the ruling is when an umpire is not 100% sure, he could inform the captain and call him at any time. He could give a warning, then the second warning, and the third time he could call. That's a normal procedure when it comes to cricket, which Emerson didn't handle. And coming back to the issue, I never wanted to take the team out. I wanted to make a scene, and I went out thinking that I'll get suspended but not the others. When I was walking out, the first thing it struck me, if all of us goes and 11 guys get suspended, we won't have a proper team. So, but if I go out and if I get suspended, at least that 10 guys could play the next game. And that is why I kept them inside. I made my point, did the acting little bit proper, and came back and participated in the game. I never wanted to stop the game.
Yeah, well, you did very well. I mean, thinking back, you did so well, and you brought about that change. But more than anything, I think it's that mindset that you changed. We are not inferior. That's what you said. Really, by raising your finger at the umpire, you just made that statement that we are not inferior to you. I think that was the main statement. So thank you very much. Now, I have several other questions.
I think I had a lot of experience, like when we went to Australia for the first time in '84, they used to put us in a 3-star hotels, and the Australian team used to stay in a 5-star hotel. Even in England, it was the same. Apart from India and Pakistan, we were treated as second-class citizens. And I could remember in '98 tour, we landed in Perth and we were taken into the same 3rd-star hotel, but I could find out the Australians were staying in the Hilton. Not that I wanted to stay in Hilton, but luckily there was a Sri Lankan F&B manager known to me. About 2 weeks prior to my departure, he called and said, Malli, Australians are staying with us, but we all are not. Then I checked, and when we landed, so I told this Ayya, can you keep us about 4, I think at that time we needed about 13 or 14 rooms. Can you block 14 rooms in a different name? And what he did that. So when we landed, we were taken into this smaller place, and I said, stop the bus. And Mr. Ranjit Fernando was my manager. So I told Ranjit, Ayya, don't get involved in this, I'm handling this. So I went and told the representative, where are the Australians staying? Then they said, Hilton. Then I said, why we are in I can't remember the small hotel, Park Royal. It was a real 3-star hotel. Then I said, no, we want to either we go to the same hotel or take us back to the airport, we will be going back. Then they said, no rooms. Then I said, doesn't matter, we'll go and try. And I went there. Luckily, there was this reservation done. And I called the guy and said, hereafter, don't ever do this. We have done this in the past, but it will never happen from this particular date. Go and tell your officials. I didn't choose that word. I used little harder words and said, if it happens again, I'll be the last person to treat you like this. So please don't ever tell your top bosses that we are not bunch of jokers or kids.
Thank you very much. There is a question from Samodani Jayatunga. Thank you very much for that talk. Who do you think in the current team will be the new Arjuna Mahela Sangakkara?
That Akalanka boy really looks really good. I think I was very impressed. He plays for my same club. And even Rajapaksa boy, I think he's a very talented cricketer, but unfortunately he had to control himself a little bit. And I feel the guys who are not playing, even this Kusal Mendis, who was suspended, I still rate him as one of the future for us. And even this Pathum Nissank, I saw this guy, his father, tell you, when I was in Kalutara, his father used to work work as not as a curator, as a ground boy in Kalutara Esplanade. And I can remember I'm the first one to give him a bat and a pair of gloves, and I was trying to take him to Ananda College. and the parents were very scared to send him to college, and he stayed back and played, and he looks very good as well. I think talent-wise, it is very unfair for me to talk about one or two players, but overall, I feel that we have talent if we can protect them, guide them properly. It's not only the cricket part, disciplining, how to handle money, how to handle fame, and when especially when you are not doing well, how to go about and do it. So I'm sure that some of these past cricketers need to get in. I'm so happy to see Chaminda was doing a wonderful job. You could see the difference between the fast bowlers 1 year back and now. I know Vasi very well. I know the commitment he made when he was a player and even now. So they are so talented. Like for me, I think Mahela, even Arvind, they can be, even Roshan can be a very good manager because he's another guy who is very keen on discipline. So not that we don't have people, we have people, but we are not using our own strength.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a few questions that I will, I have a whole list, Arjuna, but I'll try and pick up some of them. Now, in your day, in first class cricket, the first class cricket was played by NCC, SSC, CCC, BRC, Tamil Union, Coles, Nomads, Bloomfield, Moors, Police and Air Force, and of course the Colombo University, all within a 10-mile radius, plus Moratua, Panadura, Gaul, Kandy, right? So my question is, the distribution of first-class cricket is so skewed towards Colombo and the West Coast. How can we change that? That is a fundamental change to bring in the outstation talent. How do you think we can achieve that?
One thing, why it is happening, it is compared to some of the other countries, like we'll say Australia or New Zealand, even England, the traveling is not a major part in our country. And the facilities generally has been Colombo based. The proposal I gave long time back when I was heading Sri Lanka cricket in 2008 to concentrate now. The cricketers have been produced from Gaul, Ambalangoda, Kurunegala, Matara, Kandy. So those are the 5 main cities national cricketers were produced. So what I said, try and have at least one major team playing in that particular area. Ambalangoda one, Gaul one, Matara one, Kandy one, and Kurunegala one. Then another 8 teams or 9 teams in Colombo. So if by chance Kurunegala team is going to get demoted to the 2nd grade, we should not do that. So these 5 teams should be protected, because otherwise the cricketers from Kurunegala, people who can afford to come and stay in Colombo will come, but the other players will fade away. So that proposal was not taken up after, because I was there only for about 11 months. I was taken off by government. Okay. So I don't know what has happened. Even I told this to Aravind. Now that we have something like 28 teams playing in the first class teams. So that is where we have diluted our standards into those days. We had about 12 teams. Now we have about 28 teams. So if you read some of the results, you could see the matches are over in 2 days. Some matches are over in 2.5 days. We hardly play a 4-day game. But those days we couldn't even get a first innings result in 4 days. So that sort of talent we had. And we used to produce cricketers from school. At least the clubs used to go and pick cricketers and play for their clubs. And they cancelled the Division 2 tournament. The Division 2 tournament, when we started, we had the Sarah Trophy, Donovan Henry Trophy. So if you fail in the Sarah Trophy, 2 games, then when you get dropped, you go back to Donovan Henry Cricket, Donovan Trophy, play 2 games, get runs, get wickets, and come back to the side. So they erased the Division 2 trophy. I don't know why they did that. And they stopped the under-23 trophy. Because they are looking at only the financial gains only. And this is where we are. I'm so glad that we are blessed by someone on top. Otherwise, we won't be able to produce cricketers like this. We produce cricketers from somewhere. And thankfully, even school cricket standard has gone down, but still we produce cricketers.
Right. There is a question or a comment from Remal Pereira. I think Sangha would be a great CEO, but not a great coach. The current SL coach, Mickey Arthur, seems to be good. Why do you want to change him? Give him more time. A good idea to have Mahela, Chaminda and Aravinda involved with the team. That's a comment.
I think I agree with that, but I personally feel I'm not a great believer in these consultants and the advisors.
Okay.
If you are given a responsibility, you should come and act and show. And if you fail, yeah, we all fail.
Yeah.
But for me, why can't we use now Mickey Arthur has been there for last 3 years. What has he done in the last 3 years? Nothing. But when new committee got in, or like Aravinda, Mahela, Sangha, Murali, even the new selectors, I should give credit to the selectors as well, which I missed. Pramode Vikramsinghe, Kalu, they are in the selection panel.
Okay.
So they are the ones who did the changes, and they were criticized very badly by media. Okay. One other point I had to mention, the managers. We have people called managers. They sign cricketers. Like one culprit was this Charlie Austin guy, who had about 12 cricketers. So what he does, he gets about 10 to 15% commission from what the cricketers are earning, and they bribe the media. They write good about their own players even when they fail, and they are the ones who has ruined. Even I have criticized this in the parliament several times. I have written to the minister saying, stop these managers. What they say, professionals like in England, Australia, all the other places, their players have their own managers. But what the proposal I gave, let the cricket board be their managers. So they will be treating each cricketer in the same manner. They will not spend money on the individual cricketers. So I don't know, my theories may be old-fashioned, but overall these managers have ruined cricket as well.
Okay, there is a question from Yanis or Kusum. Could you want to
Unmute.
Unmute, please, first. Unmute.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for a very extensive and coverage of the cricket scene. My question is, after all these years, we don't seem to have enough representation from the Jaffna schools. And why is that so? And is anything being done to rectify the situation currently?
I think in 2015, that's something we straight away did. We were looking at, so they were looking at building an international stadium. I said, don't build an international stadium, build a very good cricket ground, a turf cricket ground for them to play. One good thing is that they are producing cricketers, but the attitude has not been changed. I have done about, for the last, I will say 5 to 6 years, I have done about 5-6 training. Generally, I do a training program once a month. I do that charity, I go out session and do the training program. I have found a lot of cricketers. I have introduced some of the cricketers to the national squads. But overall, I totally agree with you. We are not emphasized on the North and East. I don't know why, what is the reason, but we have a lot of strength there. Unfortunately, we were trying to do things which we did from 2015 to 2019. We provided with cricket facilities. Then we provided some like nets and cricket matins and things, but overall not good enough.
Thank you. There is a question from Mahendra and then Sam.
Hello, Arjuna. Just a very hypothetical question. If you are given the post of Minister of Sports, completely free reign, what 3 things would you do?
Ooh. First thing what you need to do is you need to appoint I'll dissolve the cricket board. I'll write to the ICC and I'll tell the ICC, give me 2 years to get the constitution right. And I'm sure that you all know we have 141 votes to come as a president. Australia has something like 20, England has something like 18, India something like 20 odd. So it is very difficult for cricketers to come in. So the first thing you can do, go to ICC and explain ICC, this has been the problem. Give me 2 years. I'll change the constitution. Let me have an interim committee. You appoint, like we have a lot of good people who could run, who has run properly. So you appoint an interim committee, run cricket, and then appoint a good selecting team. I think the present selectors, so far, they have done a pretty decent job. So do this thing and go into get someone to do a check on the cricket board, what has they done, corruption issues. I'm the one who, I can remember I spoke to Mr. Chamal Rajapaksa when he was a speaker, and I told Mr. Rajapaksa to try and bring the cricket board to the COPE. And the cricket board wrote to the speaker and said they are not answerable to the parliament or the COPE. But then we got some notes. We spoke to some of the lawyers, and from that day they come to the COPE and they have been criticized so badly. Even the present COPE chairman Charita Herath has been handling it very well. Even he speak to me before he speak to the cricket board. And one thing, you have to do a proper audit, and you can check now whoever the minister comes, even in our government, whoever the minister comes, what they do is the cricket board goes to the minister and tell the minister, I'll build a good cricket ground in your electorate. So it has happened to Sri Jayasekara, Harin Fernando, whoever the ministers were, and the amount of money they allocate, 50 million, 60 million, nothing has happened in those cricket grounds. So that is why I say corrupt. So we need to stop those things. If you do an audit and get hold of the culprit, I don't know whether it will happen in this country. I have been in politics the last 20 years, not a single corrupt guy was accused or got landed in the jail. But I'm sure that we need a new concept. If I was given a chance, first thing, interim committee, proper selectors, and get the cricketers to play for the country rather than money. If you implement these 3, I'm sure that we can go to the top.
Thank you. There is a question from Sam, and after that, there is a question from Carvan. Sam. Sam, we can't hear you. Something wrong with your microphone.
No. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Carry on.
All right. Thank you, Arjuna. Ajantha and myself, we are in the old era with like Dulip, Roy Dias and Bandula, where we played the Sara Trophy matches. And what I could see when Arjuna leads the team, it's like Dutugamana with Dasamayo, they are going into the team. My experience is that if your mindset is there, for example, if you get a catch coming to you, if you have a fraction of a second they're going to miss the catch, you bloody well going to miss it. So that killer instinct, or you must do this, that instinct was there. If you look at Arjuna, Mahela, Sangha, Vas, Murali, that killer instinct was there. But some of the people, and when I see some people coming to bowl, they're in 2 minds, Matamu Gaida, Vaida, like a Binra Fernand is a nice tall left-arm bowler. When he comes to bowl, but he doesn't have that killer instinct. So I just want to know how you inject that spirit or psychological or something into the team. So So when Arjuna and team goes there, we can see, you know, they are fighters and fight till die, but that instinct is not there in some of the players. I don't know how you can inject that.
I think it will take little time. Like if you analyze even this Binara Fernando, this left arm bowler, he comes from outstation. I'm sure that we all know the upbringing of these outstation cricketers. They come from, I will say, not even middle class families. It's lower middle class families. Very, very few comes above them, but they were brought up in a very different way. So for them to come into this and get used to it, it will take time. But that has to be done by the cricket board. This is where we lack. And for me, luckily, I mentioned this earlier, I had 4 senior guys. First thing, I changed their mindset. I said, we should start telling ourselves that when we lose, that it affects all of us, not only the team, it affects the entire country. We should be ashamed ourselves when we lose. I can remember there was a time that I told you earlier, like we play a game, go back to the hotel after half an hour, we all go out for dinner, parties. So that was the thing happening at that time. But when I started talking to other 4 guys, first I changed the 4 guys and then it dragged into the entire team. I'm sure that if someone comes in, I'm sure that even someone like Mahela can handle that, even Vasi can handle those. I'm sure Asanga Gurusingha was doing a wonderful job as a manager, but he was taken out because that he was too straight. Because if you go and talk direct to the cricket board, they will be taken out. So it has happened to some of the top coaches. We had like Anusha Samaranayaka was one of the best fast bowling coaches. He was taken out because you are not supposed to talk to them. You are supposed to say yes to everything. It is like the present government. So this is where the entire country goes wrong.
Thank you very much. On that point, I have a question, maybe a quick answer. Leadership, some people are born as leaders, some people learn to become leaders. So my question is, should we have special leadership courses for cricketers?
We need to, not only the leadership, we need to teach them how to eat. Now, I was so lucky that Mr. Al Mendes is the one who took us to the hostel, got the fork and spoon for us to eat. So that's why I always say that Mr. Mendes was not the cricket coach. He was my life coach. He told us how to bat, how to hold the bat when you walk. He always said, put the chest in front. And so those are smaller things, but it goes a long way. So you need, now that the cricket has been so professional, so technical, I'm sure that apart from 15 players, there are another 13 or 14 guys travel with the team. I'm so glad I'm not playing cricket now. You just imagine if I have 27 in the dressing room, I will be chasing half out, because the dressing room should be only for the players and maybe 1 or 2 coaches, maybe 3 coaches, not more than that, because otherwise you are going to get confused by too many people. I'm sure that is happening now.
Thank you. Karvan has a question. Karvan, do you want to voice your question or?
Okay, you read it out.
Okay, I'll read it out. Recently, there was a move by the first family to get one of the sons into cricket admin. Now, I will give some background to that as well, because Tyrone Fernando entered the Board of Control of Cricket by standing in on one particular day for the Muratua Cricket Club, just to say that he had played first-class cricket. And that was his qualification to become board control president. Now, Karvan says, recently, First Family has introduced one of theirs into the cricket field. Is this a move to take over the cricket?
And I was laughing when I saw the guy holding the bat and standing.
Yes.
And I could easily say that he has never played cricket. I'm
Yes.
glad that they are playing rugby rather than cricket.
Yeah.
And the worst part is these boys have been used by the administrators. You just imagine, this is the premier one-day tournament we play.
Yes.
And a person who has not played for schools, a person who has never played cricket, he's playing and opening in a one of the leading cricket teams.
Yes.
So you all can imagine where cricket goes. This corrupt administration getting corrupt people into the system. Simple as that. And this particular boy, I'm sure that he might have told, maybe you might play LPL. I'm not surprised if he's selected to play for LPL. And so these are the, like, if I was a father or if I was the sports minister brother, they should have told this guy, stay out of this. If you want to play cricket, go to the backhand and play. Go to level Division 3 and play, not the Division 1. And he should know people are laughing at them. I'm sure the Rajapaksas doesn't bother about laughing at them. But unfortunately, even these younger guys should be at least controlled properly. I'm sure that I know for sure these cricket administrators, starting from Shammi Silva and the crowd, has ruined. Even this boy has been dragged into this. And now that he is qualified to be the next cricket board president.
Yes, he is. And nobody will contest against him.
No one will contest. Till the next election comes.
Now, there is a question from Kusal. Do you want to voice your question, Kusal?
Yes, I'll try. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. That was really good, that presentation. Really good to hear from national heroes again. One thing I wanted to find out is, unlike, I know that India and Pakistan, they have this conveyor belt of fast bowlers coming along. They have a big population as well. What must our nation do to get some genuine fast bowlers coming through?
I can remember MRF, there was a cricket academy started by Dennis Lilly, and Indian Cricket Board helped us a lot. Even players like Chaminda Vas, Pushpa Kumar, Dulip Liyanage, even Pramod Vikramsinghe, they all were trained in the MRF without charging a cent from us. I think that has helped us. The problem I see, I'll give you a small story about this MRF. So I spoke to the MRF chief and got 5 guys to go to India and train for a month. No, they trained for 3 months. And they came back. They were almost a yard or 2 yards quicker than what they were. So I was very happy, and we all were very happy. Then suddenly, after about 2 weeks, we could see the pace was lacking a little bit. And after about a month, they went back to the same old style. So I got with Aravind, I got the 5 guys and blackguarded them. I thought they were not doing the training properly. And then they said, same thing. Then I went back and I was at home, and then suddenly, I think it was Samadra who told me whether they are getting the same food what they eat there. And to see, that was the difference. So they were not eating the same food, same diet, which was given by MRF. They couldn't afford to do that when they came to Colombo. So when they go back home, the diet given to the cricketers couldn't eat at home. I had the same problem. I was asked to lose weight, and I was asked to, when I was with five more brothers, I was asked to eat vegetables and maybe chicken in the night. So I couldn't eat chicken alone when the other 5 guys are watching, and when they're eating rice and paripu, my amma will never give me chicken course because that I'm the national cricketer. So those are the problems these guys are facing. So what I did, I spoke to the cricket board, and then the cricket board said it is very difficult to get 5 guys. Then I got 5 sponsors for them to, it was something like 50,000 rupees. This was somewhere in 1992, 93. And then the cricket board agreed to give them the meal. So suddenly it came back again. So we need to concentrate on their food as well. I'm sure that everyone knows when you go home, whatever they eat, sometimes they must be eating paripu and pang in the night. That is something we used to eat. So these are the areas where cricket board should get involved and try to sort out. I'm sure all these guys will break one of these days, even the fast bowlers. See amount of injuries we have. If you take all the fast bowlers, even this Shamira boy, I feel he's one of the most talented fast bowlers I have seen. But he tend to get injuries because I'm sure that he is lack of either vitamins or whatever the medical terms, I don't know. These are the things we don't do properly.
Yeah, thank you, Arjuna. I think we ought to take a note from what the other teams like the Australians and Indians are doing about their teams. I mean, they look after the diet, the mental preparation and fitness. But most importantly, guys are falling foul on financial conduct. Should at least the national squad should have special coaching on behavior, etiquette, and communication. Now, some of the other Asian countries, the cricketers seem to be communicating much better than our guys. It can, I'm sure, it can be in Sinhala as long as they communicate confidently and to the points that are raised by the media. Those are sort of things that went through my mind when I was preparing for this. And of course, mental preparation and financial conduct in these days of allegations of match fixing, etc., how these players can fall into traps or financial lucrative offers. So we need leadership, we need training, we need coaching. What are your thoughts about those?
Yeah, I'm absolutely, you're absolutely correct. I think even when the match fixing started, when I was captaining, and I don't know why not a single match fixing guy has ever contacted me on a match fixing thing. And what we used to do, we used to sit with the younger guys, tell the guys this can happen. It might happen. If a unknown caller calls you regarding to meet, please inform. And if you meet him, please inform. So we could protect the guys. And at that time, we had a different ruling. Like if I'm going out for dinner, even when we go to England, if I go out for dinner to a friend's place, what I do is I take maybe one senior guy and maybe about 3 junior guys with me. So the junior guys will never go alone. They go with a senior cricketer. And that if I go with, we'll say if I go with Hashan, maybe with Vas, Murali, Pushpa Kumara, they were the juniors. The next dinner, I'll go with another 3 junior cricketers. So we generally rotate. Like Aravinda used to take some, Roshan used to take some, Gura used to take some. So that is where we had this bonding, like you mentioned about this bonding thing. And we used to protect and look after the younger guys. And I'm sure that even when we were young, we were protected. Like Bandhu used to protect me like sometimes maybe like a father. Even Dulip and them, they were friends, but they never allowed us to go on the wrong track. I can remember when we went to India with Bandulaya, after a game, they were seated outside at the hotel. Bandhu, Dulip, Ajitaya, Lalitaya and them. And they were having a drink. And when I went there, Bandhu said, Podiyaka, sit on the other table. So I had to carry an orange juice and sit on the other table and listen to them. And that is the way they protected. Even I never allowed the guys to drink 24 hours before the game. After the game, I allow them to do whatever they want, but there has to be a control. And they should inform me where they go. They have to put a phone number under my room if they leave the hotel. So the manager was there, but I was handling that as well.
Thank you very much. I mean, you have been a very good mentor, obviously, and you have got your seniors around you to help you in that role. Now, there is one more from Riomal. Why are we celebrating the 25th anniversary of winning the World Cup? Surely, isn't this a time to commiserate that we have not won a World Cup for 25 years? That's just a comment. Anyway, are there any other questions from the audience? Please, I'm aware of the time. We have overshot by 11 minutes already. Are there any other? So in that case, Arjuna, let me hand you back to Mahendra. Mahendra, do you want to do the final honors, please?
Okay, Arjuna, thank you. I mean, Ajantha, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for Arjuna for sparing the time to come and speak to us. Not just speak, but speak extremely frankly and honestly, and that I really admire. Secondly, thank you for Ajantha and Rasieka for getting hold of you. Lots of people ask me, how the hell do you manage to get Arjuna for your show? So that's how we get people. Finally, thank all of you for attending and making this occasion really worthwhile. And can I ask all of you to unmute yourself, because our tradition is to unmute and then put our hands together and clap.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, okay, here we go. Thank you very much, Arjuna. Right. And can I remind you that in 2 weeks, you'll be here in Pakistan, Beverly Arid case. So thanks again.
Arjuna, thank you very, very much. Thank Samadara and Tiangi for facilitating this meeting as well, please.
I will do that.
I hope you will be able to deliver the glory days back to Sri Lanka, and you will get the people that you mentioned involved in that task. So thank you very much.
Mahendra.
Give me 2 more weeks and you will see something is happening.
Thank you.
Mahendra, the way to get hold of Arjuna is through the ladies who are behind.
Yeah. This one.
Ladies, there she is.
Thank you, Tiangi.
Thank you so much, Tiangi.
Thank you.
I'm frightened because whenever I approach ladies,
No, even when I mentioned that I was controlled by 3 women, some people thought I'm having 3 girlfriends.
Yeah, it was really nice to see Arjuna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nice to see you.
And thank you to the
We had
organizers.
2 top cricketers now. We had Roshan Mahanama last year. Now we have you. So who knows next? Sangha might be next, I hope.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we hope to get Sangha and Mahendra.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay then, bye-bye for all of you. I'm going to end the meeting now.
Thank you.